Imagine living in a house so silent, so still, that you can hear every creak and groan of the floorboards beneath your feet. But what happens when those sounds suddenly aren't so normal anymore? Tonight, we dive deep into the terrifying story of a woman alone in her house, haunted by something she never thought possible. By the end of this story, you'll never want to check your basement again. A woman lived in a quiet village, far from the hustle of the city. She'd always been independent, never needing anyone. Her home, an old creaky house, sat isolated, with the nearest neighbor miles away. But one stormy night, her peaceful solitude was shattered. It began with a sound, a faint crying. It started so softly that the woman thought it might just be the wind. But no, it was something more. Something human. The crying echoed through her house, bouncing off the walls, growing louder with every second. And it wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from the basement. The woman hadn't been in her basement for years. Dust covered everything, and the air was heavy with the scent of age. As she moved deeper into the basement, the crying grew louder, clearer, and yet there was something strange about it. It wasn't the cry of a baby she knew. It felt old. A small antique cradle, its wood darkened with time. She didn't remember ever owning it. The cradle rocked gently, though there was no breeze in the room, and inside was a doll. A simple doll, its face cracked, its dress tattered. But as the woman approached, the crying stopped. The basement fell silent. Her heart raced. She bent down, her hand trembling as she reached out to touch the doll. And then, its eyes snapped open, bloodshot, full of malice. It grinned at her with a mouth too wide, too sharp for a doll. The doll. It laughed, a sound that was not human, but something far darker, far older. And then it spoke, a raspy whisper, crawling into her ears like a curse. "You let me die." The room grew colder. The lights flickered again, and the door slammed shut behind her with a force that rattled the entire house. Panicked, the woman rushed to the door, but it wouldn't budge. She turned back, and then she saw them. Tiny hands, pale and ghostly, reaching out from beneath the floorboards. The hands grabbed at her, pulling her closer to the cradle. The doll's laughter grew louder, echoing through the basement. The woman kicked and screamed, but the hands were relentless, dragging her closer and closer. She clawed at the floor, her fingers scraping against the wood, but it was too late. The last thing she saw was the doll's gleaming eyes staring into her soul. Before she was pulled into the darkness beneath the floor, the woman was never seen again. Her house remains empty, abandoned. But late at night, when the wind howls just right, villagers claim they can still hear the faint crying of an infant coming from deep within the basement. And if you're brave enough to visit, you might just hear it too. Did this story send chills down your spine? Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more terrifying tales, and hit the bell icon to never miss another horror story. Stay safe and stay away from dark basements.